So welcome back to a bit gamey and a review of 15mm early war infantry figures. Just to explain the context, I think the 28mm figures for the design for bolt action and games like that are easily the best infantry figures, but I'm mostly interested in a kind of nostalgia thing for old Airfix days, and so I found that the 28mm tanks are like too big for me, take up too much space, and I want too many of them, and they're kind of more expensive. So I'm mostly keen on roughly 20mm 172, because the infantry still, or some of them, can still look good. But the main thing for me was the tanks, and roughly 20mm works for me best for that. However, because of Flames of War and the whole 15mm thing, I just, as an experiment or as a test or whatever the word is, I wanted to get some 15mm just to see what they were like, and to kind of compare and contrast. So that's what this review is about. It's Plastic Soldier Company, Forged in Battle, and a resin firm called Geek Villain. So I got infantry from all three, just to see roughly what they were like, and to compare and contrast. Okie doke. So, Plastic Soldier Company, early war German infantry. Yeah, a big box full of stuff. I mean, these aren't fully painted, and they're not well painted at all, and but they're not fully painted either. Just to give, it might give you an idea if they focus. Hopefully they do. But yeah, I mean, these are great little figures. They're aesthetically fine, and they do what you want. It's a company's worth in theory at a 1:1 scale. So 138 figures, there's loads of them, and what you can say, there's just good figures. Carrying on little sprues like this, we get 10 or 12 whatever infantry, and there's another sprue for the HQ types. So just good all round. The only issue I have with them is that there's so many. It's like because if you're doing the kind of Flames of War type thing, where you're doing an actual 1:1 scale, then 138 figures, for a company size games, that's just right. But the problem with it for me is that I'm mostly going with rapid fire type scale. A battalion scale where it's like 8 figures per company, and you have 3 companies in the battalion, so you have roughly 30 or so figures per battalion. And on a small table, there's slightly just to be 1 battalion involved. So you're going to have a lot of spares, basically. And is that a problem? I mean, it's not really a problem. It's only if you're a bit OCD or whatever, because the boxes are small. So if you have a box left over that's like half full of figures, is that an issue? I mean, I thought it might be an issue, but maybe it's not. It depends on what sort of person you are. But anyway, so Plastic Soldier Company, very good. And on the same tone or whatever, or on the same general line, is same general. If you have the Plastic Soldier Company early war German heavy weapons, right? And you see you've got anti-tank gun, machine gun, field support gun, mortars, etc. So you've got that, but then they come on a sprue where you get one of each of those things. So each sprue's got the 75mm gun, the 37mm anti-tank gun, one mortar, one heavy machine gun. So on the rapid fire rules, on their kind of organisational charts, you might have one each of these things on the battalion. So you say you're doing that, you have you have a box of 3 sprues left over. I mean, again, it's not a big deal, because it may come at a point where you have multiple battalions. But so it was just a question for me of, if there was an issue with having too many, then basically, was that an issue at all? So Plastic Soldier Company are great, but I thought maybe there'd be an issue with there being so many, more than I needed in a box. So that led me to Forged in Battle, which, as you can see, is you get a bundle of metal figures in a container. So these are, I didn't actually open these yet. These are metal, and they come in smaller packets. This is a sort of what's said to be a Russian infantry platoon. So it's around 40 figures. So if you're wanting to do Russian battalions early war, and they're going to have like 3 lots of 8 figures in rapid fire, then this is an option. They're a little smaller than I should have opened these and fixed the basing so they'd stand up, but oops, yes, bit of a disaster. So there you go, you got a number of small figures, and especially because in the rapid fire, it doesn't actually matter what the figures are armed with. You stick 3 on the base. Oh, these are really bad at standing up. So a bit closer maybe, to give a rough idea of the general look of them. So I don't know. I mean, this is an option if you're if you don't like having lots of figures left lying around. But so I say it's a possible option if you want to have exactly the right number of figures and not have spares lying around, tempting you to make more battalions that you'll never use. So I don't know, I think, what can I say, they're good as well. And so you can get platoon packs, which means you can have slightly less excess numbers. You can you can fill out a rapid fire battalion with fewer spares and so it's, you know, like I say, they cost about the same as the Plastic Soldier Company one, so you're not really saving money. But if having too many figures bothers you, then that's one possible solution, to have slightly fewer figures. And the third thing, there's probably other companies doing it, but this is just the first one I saw, which was it's something called Geek Villain, and they do resin. So see that, which if it yeah, and the thing about the Geek Villain stuff is they do small packs of like 7 or 8 riflemen, or a bunch of HQ figures, or you know, a bunch of machine guns figures. So in theory, you could pretty much get the exact number you need by buying the various packs. And that would, if you're particularly OCD and you want to get the exact number, so you don't have lots lying around afterwards, then you know, these are pretty good, I'd say. The sculpting is slightly weird. It's slightly kind of, I don't know. I don't know how I'd say squashed is the word that I'd use, although it might not really give the right impression. But yeah, the sculpting is slightly different from the others from the Plastic Soldier Company. So it might you know, be preferred, or it might be less, you know, be an issue for some people. So yes, so these are good, I'd say. They're aesthetically, you know, there might be an issue for some people. Personally, I think they're okay. And as I say, you can fill out your, you know, 30-40 figures in these individual packs, and you won't have a lot left over. But I don't know. But yeah, so I think they're perfectly fine. The one thing to bear in mind with these Geek Villain figures is before they're painted, you can't really see the detail. They come in this kind of slightly transparent resin, and you can't hardly see any of the details when they come. But you know, once you put red paint on them, you can see the detail. So I don't know. I think they're goodish. You know, and very good if you're particularly OCD and you don't like having these boxes left lying around. And so yes, so I'll put the link for these 3 firms. Well, you don't really need it for the Plastic Soldier Company. So what am I trying to say? Yeah, so generally they're all good. I think they're all good ways of doing it. But after doing this experiment, I'd say, you know, the Plastic Soldier Company, you know, the box, they're quite small. So if you've got 3 or 4 sprues left over, it's not really the end of the world in terms of, you know, having stuff left over, because they're quite small and neat. So I think if I was, you know, doing this more in the future, I'd just get the Plastic Soldier Company ones, and then use the things like Geek Villain for if you need extra HQ or extra whatever. Because the Geek Villain, they also do things like, you know, 37mm anti-tank guns. So if you wanted to avoid getting the heavy weapons from Plastic Soldier Company, it might be worth getting these single ones from some company that does them singly. But overall, I mean, I'm happy with all the ones I've got. But I think in the future I'd just go for the plastic soldier company and have spares. Was there anything else? Yeah. So I think that's it. You know, getting the plastic soldier company and having spares left behind in the boxes is okay. And yeah, and the others are all fine. But I think I've done my experiment now. I also bought a load of these. It's a weird thing how my brain has kind of registered these the Flames of War bases as the way to do the figures rather than the MDF. I think I don't know. I think the MDF might be better, but whatever. I got them, so I'll use them up. So I don't know if that's a useful review or not, but yeah, I mean, and they don't really need a review from me. But yeah, Plastic Soldier Company, pretty good. I saying no, I don't want to be too negative because they're all good in their own way. The balance being between how many spares you end up with and how much of an issue that is for you. But I say for me, I'd say it's the Plastic Soldier Company are fine, and you'll just have a bunch of spares left over. Okay, that may be, well, who knows if that's useful to anyone, but it was an interesting experiment for me. So, okay, toodle pip.